Hi, everybody. This is Athena Jackson, your healing and transformation coach. And in today's podcast, we are going to talk about ways to deal with emotional abuse. In our last podcast, in our previous podcast, I talked about the signs of emotional abuse. But today I want to talk about how to deal with emotional abuse. Just to cover a few things I talked about in our last podcast, I was telling how some people was raised in emotionally abusive situations. Maybe mom or dad was emotionally abusive. Maybe they were being emotionally abused at school. Maybe they were being bullied. Whatever it is, they were raised in emotionally abusive situations. And so emotional abuse for some people, as dysfunctional as it may be, has become their norm. And so in my last podcast, I wanted to elaborate on the signs of emotional abuse so that people can see it, they can reveal it. And so once something is revealed, you can heal from it. Some people don't know that they're dealing with emotional abuse because it's so settled. So if you did not catch my last broadcast on the signs of emotional abuse, it would benefit you to listen to that last podcast on the signs of emotional abuse before we dive into this one. Okay? So if you did listen to my last podcast, or you already understand that you are in an emotionally abusive relationship, then it would benefit you to go ahead and continue with this podcast. Okay. So one of the first steps in dealing with an emotionally abusive relationship, again, is recognizing that it is happening. So if you're able to identify any aspect of emotional abuse in your relationship, no matter what relationship it is, whether it is with your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, in a relationship with your friends, at work, it is important to acknowledge it. It's important to acknowledge that it is happening. And by being honest that you are experiencing and about what you are experiencing, you can begin to take control of your life again. You can take your power back in your life. You can rise above this thing. You can heal from it. Okay. And so, one of the first things I want to talk about is you have to establish boundaries. A lot of times, emotional abusers are able to get away with what they get away with because you don't have boundaries. You have to firmly tell the abusive person in your life that they may no longer call you names, insult you, be rude to you, and, so on. Okay? Then you have to let them know what will happen if they choose to continue to engage in this behavior. So once you get the courage to establish boundaries, a lot of people don't have the courage. They live in what you call a city with no walls. A city with no walls. Anybody can just come in and out because I'm scared to establish boundaries. Because if I establish these boundaries, I may not be accepted. I may get rejected. Somebody may leave me. And this is the thing. It's okay to take the risk. It's okay if people walk away from you because they don't want to respect boundaries. Those are not your people. Some people are scared to establish boundaries in fear of abandonment, in fear of being alone. I'm scared to be by myself. So I'd rather be in the hands of an abuser than to have to focus on me for a while and heal from these abusive relationships, heal from the wounds that's caused me to be in such fear of rejection and abandonment that I would rather be in an abusive relationship. I don't want to take time to heal from that because I'm scared. You have to learn to establish boundaries. And if that's you, if you say, Athena, I'm just scared. I'm scared. I'm so scared of this. Then I want you to reach out to me or get on my website. And there's a few classes that will help you build your self-confidence and destroy and eradicate a negative belief system so that you can gain the courage to establish boundaries. Okay. Um, you also, again, tell people what's going to happen if they don't. If you don't, I cannot stay in this relationship. If you continue to call me names or insult me, then I'm just going to not stay in this conversation. You can even start with the conversation. I'm not going to stay in this conversation. I'm done. That's an insult. Sometimes you have to let the abuser know that, listen, I know what you're trying to do. You're just trying to make me feel, you're trying to make me feel inferior. And it's not going to work. I'm not less than you. I'm not perfect, just like you're not perfect. And if those things aren't working, then you just have to, move on to your next step. But don't blame yourself. A lot of people who are in emotionally abusive relationship blame themselves. If you've been in an emotionally abusive relationship for any amount of time, you may believe that there is, something wrong with you. Why else would someone who says they love you act like this, right? Okay. So you begin to, believe you are the problem. You internalize you as the problem. But you are not the problem. Abuse is a choice. So stop blaming yourself for something you have no control over. You have no control over how they feel about themselves. But you can control somebody who's deciding to emotionally abuse you, because you don't have to stay for the abuse. Okay? Another thing that a lot of, especially women, um, make the mistakes of trying to fix, playing the hero in an abusive situation. You cannot fix the abusive person. And despite your best efforts, you will never be able to change an emotionally abusive person by doing something different or saying something different or by being different. An abusive person makes the choice to behave abusively to have control over you. And so whatever you do will never be enough. And you have to remind yourself that you cannot control other people's actions and that you are not to blame for their choices. And the only thing you can do to fix or control is your response to the situation, to the abuse. Okay? Another thing is, don't engage with an abusive person. If an abuser tries to start an argument with you and begins to insult you and demand things from you, or rages, or have jealousy rages, don't try to make explanations or soothe their feelings or make apologies for things you know you didn't do. Walk away from situations when you can. Engaging with the abusers only sets you up for more abuse. And it's nothing. They want to abuse you. They want to control you. So there is no fix. Like, baby, I love you. That's not, I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. They know you didn't mean it. So yes, you did. That's their response. You know you did that. They know you didn't do it on purpose. But they'll say, you know you did that on purpose, but they know you didn't. It's to keep control over you. So when you're engaging with this abuser, it only sets you up for more abuse and heartache. And no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to make things right in their eyes. Okay? You got to make your mental health a priority. So stop worrying about pleasing the person who's abusing you. Some of the reasons people are being abused because they're people pleasers. I just want to make you happy. No, your happiness is at stake here. You have to make your own self happy. Your needs are important. So you have to begin to do things that will help you think positive and affirm who you are. And this is the thing, I find that people try to do self affirmations over a faulty belief system. The only reason why you are settling is because your belief system has been tainted. And a lot of times, that's why I said a lot of people grow up in emotionally abusive relationships with their parents and don't even realize it. And so in their belief system, this emotional abuse is love, and it's not. So this emotional abuse, or my belief system, I am not enough, or I have never been able to please anyone. I couldn't even please my parents. That means that you need to heal from wounded emotions, so that when you begin to sing these self affirmations that will help give you the courage to walk away from anything that does not serve you. When you begin to say these affirmations, they have validity to them, because now I am healing the dysfunctional belief system that was built in even in my childhood. So as I begin to heal that, I gain the courage to take my power back and either woman up and man up in my relationship and say enough is just enough. Okay. Um, Build a support network. Stop being silent about the abuse you were experiencing. Tell a trusted friend, a family member, a coach. I'm an emotional healing and transformation coach. Reach out to me if you have to. Reach out to somebody, your pastor, community. Reach out to somebody and say, this is what I'm going through, so that they can give you solutions, so they can help you as you gain the courage to either bring this abuser in line, or for you to walk away. Okay. You need a network of healthy relationships and confidants that'll help you feel less lonely and isolated. Okay. They will speak truth into you. They will help build you. They will help you put things into perspectives. And then emotionally abusive relationships, unless the emotional abuser is willing to get help and heal, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. So you may have to work on an exit plan. If your partner or friend or family member has no intention of changing or working on their poor choices, you will not be able to reign in that relationship. I'm just saying, it's just what it is. If you want to rise up and become the person that you were designed to be, it will take time. But if you don't come out of it, it's going to take a toll on you mentally and physically. And depending on your situation, you may need to take steps to end the relationship. Each situation is different. So discuss your thoughts with maybe your therapist or a friend or a family member or a counselor or a coach, so that they can help you overcome um, this relationship, so that you can walk out of this relationship. You shouldn't have to stay in anything that makes you feel less than. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to stay in it. And I know sometimes we've invested years, but we don't want to waste any more time on someone that cannot validate us and see us and treat us like the amazing women and men that we are. At the end of the day, if it doesn't speak to your soul and it doesn't push you forward, negative energy does not help us grow. It does not help us grow. It works against us. It works against us. And so if you have to work on an exit strategy. You have to work on exit strategy. And if you're not going to do that, then you're going to have to create boundaries to say enough is enough. I'm not taking this. And if you don't man up or woman up and deal with your situation or deal with your emotional wounds, then I can't have you stay here. Some people, it's just respect. Until you do, you're going to stop belittling me. You're going to stop trying to make me feel inferior. You're going to stop trying to control me. I'm not having it anymore. Sometimes you just stepping up and saying enough is enough will bring people in line, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes it won't. You make them angry because they're not willing to change. Either way, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. So today, that is how my take on dealing with emotional abuse. Let me know if this helped you. Let me know if even the first one, the signs of emotional abuse helped you. Just send me an email, athenathecoach@gmail.com, and let me know if this is helping you. If there's a spot under this, you can comment. Let me know if you've had to deal with an emotional abuser at one time and what you did to walk away from it. Share your experiences with other people. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for tuning in today, and you have a blessed day.